All right, so my apologies for this late upload, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of you were a little upset that I didn't get a chance to talk about this on the RGD podcast. My bad. I actually forgot about this. This was actually sent to me by a lot of you, and a lot of you really want to hear my take on this because, you know, I've really been pushing this in the videos when it comes to PlayStation 5. Remember, a lot of people were talking about CPUs and GPUs. What were we talking about over here? We were talking about I/O throughput and what is being processed on screen. Well, what if I told you the PlayStation 5's ability to put more on screen has officially been supercharged, and you're going to give even more detail and even more assets on screen and more tools for developers to take advantage of for PlayStation 5. That's definitely to get into that. So again, to make a long story short, when we talked about this for the long-term haul, right, I mostly used the demo from the Unreal Engine demo, or I'm sorry, yeah, the Unreal Engine demo from Unreal or Epic, and that particular demo, they pretty much confirmed 8K textures was on the ground. They showcased the rocks, they showcased all the detail, the improved lighting, the new ray tracing, everything, right, all the new effects they were showcasing. It was running at 1440p with no issues, and they confirmed that it could run at 4K and you can still get the same result. PlayStation 5 was pushing all this out in real time with no hiccups whatsoever. That was a big deal for all of us when we saw this. A lot of people thought that was 4K when the reality was it was what? 1440p. Anyway, this right here goes into the model, and let's go ahead and get into the story. PS5 I/O throughput has officially been supercharged by Oodle texture, and the bandwidth has officially been risen to 17.38 gigabytes. That is a massive upgrade. Here's the full story. The PS5 I/O throughput system has been a topic of much discussion ever since Epic CEO Tim Sweeney explained the structural advantages over PC. He's referring to the demo where he showed the statues, he showed the 8K textures, everything again that we talked before. They're referring to that. While the raw speed of the PS5 SSD drive might have been theoretically surpassed by the new Samsung 980 Pro, which is true, that is the new SSD for PC, they have definitely theoretically beaten PS5. But listen to this though, it is the architecture of the PS5 itself that boasts its capabilities beyond what's currently achievable elsewhere. You might remember that the official specifications listed the console's I/O bandwidth at 5.5 gigabytes with uncompressed data and 8.9 gigabytes with compressed data. However, it looks like the partnership with Oodle will allow PS5 to go much further when it comes to bandwidth peaks with compressed data. We already knew that the PlayStation 5 would support the Kraken hardware decoder, but the folks at Oodle have now unveiled that Sony also licensed Oodle texture technology, which is optimized for compressing GPU textures. Now they went on even further, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the actual thing on the screen here. Let's go ahead and put that on the screen for you guys, and let's break this down. Now, this is what they had to say in the actual breakdown, all right? Oodle Texture is a software library that game developers use at content creation time to compile their source art into GPU-ready BC1 through 7 formats. All games use GPU texture encoders, but previous encoders did not optimize the compound textures for compression like Oodle Texture does. Not all games at launch of PS5 will be using Oodle texture, and don't worry, we'll get into that in a second. But as it's a very new technology, as they just said here, but we expect it to be in a majority of PS5 games in the future. Because of this, we expect the average compression ratio and therefore the effective I/O speed to be even better than previously estimated. Kraken is a powerful generic compressor that can find good compression on data with repeated patterns or structure. Some types of data are scrambled in such a way that the compressibility is hard for Kraken to find unless that data is prepared in the right way to put it in a usable form. And an important case of this is for games is in the GPU textures, which again, they're referring to the 8K textures again, you guys saw on the ground, all that. Now, before I continue to this, remember that now they just said that you might not see this until later on. You guys remember, I do stand by this too. If you watched RGT, remember I told you a lot of games are kind of being cross-gen right now. So Pretty much theoretically, until Sony officially removes themselves from PS4 completely, you're going to see mostly them pushing more so PS4 and PS5 on the side until they're ready to officially leave PS4. You see what I'm saying? And then you're going to see developers take full advantage of this type of thing. Right now, we're kind of in like the little I guess you could say the honeymoon phase, right? Everybody's getting used to it. They're now using it now. We're not there yet, though. They haven't fully, they're not really tapping into the system just yet. They're not about to push it yet until PS4 is officially done and, with Sony at this point. But that's what they're doing. But to continue, Oodle Kraken offers even bigger advantages for games when combined with Oodle texture. Often, the majority of game content is in BC1 to BC7 textures. BC1 to 7 textures are a lousy format for GPU that encodes 4x4 blocks of pixels into 8 or 16 byte blocks. Oodle Kraken is designed to model patterns in this kind of granularity, but with previous BC1 to 7 texture encoders, there simply wasn't any pattern there to find. They were nearly incompressible with both zip and Kraken. Oodle texture creates BC1 textures in a way that has patterns in the data that Kraken can find to improve compression, but that are not invisible to the human eye. Kraken can see that Kraken can see that certain structures in the data repeat the lengths of matches and offsets and space between matches and code them in fewer bits. This is done without expensive operations like context coding or arithmetic coding. According to Oodle, the previous 8 to 9 gigabytes IO bandwidth figure was provided by Sony by multiplying the 5.5 gigabytes peak bandwidth of the PS5 SSD for the standard compression ratio of 1.45 to 1 or 1.64. However, when factoring in both Oodle Kraken and Oodle texture, the developers of the technology have seen an impressive compression ratio of 3.16 for a texture set in the recent game. This will translate into an IO bandwidth peak of 17.38 gigabytes, as mentioned in the headline. Of course, that may not be typical, and not all PS5 games will necessarily take advantage of this technically or technology to the fullest. That said, it does sound like Sony is equipped to remain the leading gaming architecture for quite some time, yet when it comes to I/O. And that right there is what they had to say about the PlayStation 5 and this new Supercharge. Now, again, I know I just said a lot of numbers live. You're looking like that again. So to make a long story short, again, what you guys saw in the Unreal Engine demo, to put this in layman's terms for gamer terms, what you guys saw there and what they're working with, picture that times, I say 5 at this point, and you're gonna get more on screen. That's what you're doing. That's what they're doing there. So pay attention to when you see games in the future. For example, like what's happening in the background as you're moving around. All this type of stuff, Sony can easily produce on screen with no issues. This will not hurt the hardware at all. Games in general, like assets, weapons. Remember how we talked about, or remember how Tim Sweeney pretty much talked about this in the demo, where in the demo they were able to drag and drop kind of like pieces of basically photos of real life things into the world, and they can model them like that instead of having to go back and painstakingly do that by hand. It's kind of like that. Realistic, expect more realistic, more realistic textures, but also a more realistic look for a lot of stuff. Like props, for example. This is where gaming is really going to be taking a really, really big upgrade. Like, picture the next Star Wars game. Notice how in the Star Wars game, they model a lot of these lightsabers. You notice like when they do the behind the scenes, they painstakingly scope all this stuff and write the stuff and draw it. They no longer have to do that. They can legit have a prop and drag and drop the prop in there, and you can have the same level of detail with ease. That's what I'm talking about with PlayStation 5. That's how advanced they are in the architecture. It is a big game changer and game development for them. As you guys clearly can see in how things are going, is not going to be an issue for them in the long haul, sorry, and you're going to see so much more happening in the future. So that's pretty much it. I don't want to drag this video out any longer, but that's pretty much what's happened with PlayStation 5. So hopefully I hope you understand this a little bit better and you got a little bit more context out of what's happening on screen. But that's pretty much it for the PlayStation 5 video. Sorry I didn't get this out here earlier to you guys. I actually forgot to even do a video after RGT, so that's why it's even later. But anyway, thank you guys again for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you really did, hit that like button. Do appreciate it. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys first thing either tomorrow or of course Monday. Y'all be blessed, y'all be easy, y'all have a good night, and again, thanks again for watching and supporting Big Cloud Gaming. Y'all be good, man. I'm out of here. Deuces.